This is the final ride of the Goldwing in Hawaii. The mount on my camera just started to come unhinged, so I guess that's just sort of the way things go. But it's been fun. It turned out to be a much better motorcycle than I anticipated. It actually has quite a lot of accessories I have come to be rather fond of. But it's time to move on to other places and other motorcycles, because this thing is not going back to the mainland and probably never will. All right. I don't have anything on my mind today that I'm gonna share specifically. I think I'm just gonna try to kind of enjoy this one, because this will be the last time that I do, and I don't have any intentions of ever returning to this island. That's not to say that it's impossible, but I think it's highly unlikely that I'll suddenly change that plan. I'm gonna have to go fill this thing up with gas before I give it to him. Can't be giving it to him on empty. Although you can see the mileage counter right there, the tripometer. I think the forward level sensor is in need of cleaning, and that was something that I just didn't have time to do, and I don't think he is gonna mind, because it's really hard to run out of gas on this island. But I'm gonna do him a courtesy of filling it up anyway. Another K car. Very interesting look those things have. Pretty cool, kind of a neat mix of culture there. Oh, that one's right-hand drive. That's funny. Looks like he's using it as an Uber. Okay, they saw me. Nice. This guy, on the other hand. Yeah, I've really come to like this thing. I'm looking forward to picking up another one, I think. For all the negative press I think I gave it for being so difficult to work on. I mean, it's still valid, those criticisms, but it's been quite a lot of fun riding around. And I think if I had bought one brand new, I feel like a broken record saying this. Is probably 12th time I've said it. But if I'd have bought one brand new and the only thing I was doing was riding it, and I didn't do any of the maintenance, I think I'd love this thing. So I totally get why it's got such a popularity. And I do believe I will end up picking up another, in spite of what I said in my initial impressions about ownership. Okay. Time to fill her up. Camera check. Okay, it's on. Sweet. Ooh boy, smells like gas. Let's see if they've got any gas. They do. Sweet. This is for you, Douglas. Want to make sure you get the right kind of gas. Don't put ethanol fuel in it if you can avoid it. You probably will, and it won't kill it. But if you ever leave it sitting for any length of time, I suggest you fill it up with gas only, because that stuff does not separate nearly as quickly as the ethanol does from the other types of fuel. You can see these are E10. Is that it? That looks like that was it. Yep, few gallons only, just under 3. Okay, that's that. Okie dokie. Spin that guy closed. There we go. And that's 2.963. We're going to reset the trip, 90 miles. So that's just about 30 miles per gallon, I think. Not bad for racing it around a little. Okay. And away we go. Almost did the pigeon. Got to turn all the way around and look. Can't be chancing that. And I got to turn left, so I'm going to have to cross all the traffic lanes. So I might have to just turn right anyway. Let's see. Can we do it? I might just wait until everybody's almost stopped. Yeah. Hey, bold moves win the day sometimes. Just got to be very careful. All right. Well, that was a relatively uneventful fill-up. That's nice. So he'll be getting it with probably just turning over 25,000 miles or slightly past. Pretty good deal, having one in really good repair. So he didn't want to do any work, and that's totally understandable. And around here, this is Oahu, so old vehicles, real tough to find somebody that's reputable that'll work on them for you. And this thing especially, boy, I feel for him if he ends up needing to do something with it, because the Honda dealerships here are not going to touch this thing. There's a standing policy at the motorcycle shops on this island that they will not maintain anything that's over 10 years old. And even the third-party shops that just do motorcycle maintenance typically will be very hesitant to get involved with something that's had so much tenure. And that's for good reason. There's a lot of corrosion that happens here, and most folks don't take very good care of the vehicles on account of service being expensive, parts are expensive, everything's expensive really. And that's more a narrative on island life than it is on motorcycling. But yeah, that means the reality here is most vehicles will end up neglected, and a lot of the time that means they have much more significant problems than even their age would suggest. It's one of the reasons you see so many Toyotas around, actually. A lot of Toyota pickup trucks on the island. I'm sure part of that is they also might have a bit of a relationship with the establishment here, because that's what the police use, and they don't even have vehicles that are generally modified into cruisers. The downtown Honolulu cops do, and those are like Ford Explorers and things like that, same sort of stuff you'd see stateside. But for the vehicles that I see all around the island, the patrol vehicles, they come in two flavors. Either they're the patrol cars that have the graphics and everything, and those are the traditional patrol car types, Explorers and such. But they're not undercover cars, but the cars that only have a blue light on the top, they'll be like Chargers or Toyota, I don't remember what the model is, not RAV4, it's a different one, SRS or something. I could be wrong about that, but That's what they have here. Oh, you can smell someone burning trash. Big surprise. I think now I'll take the opportunity to share my closing thoughts on life in Hawaii. There's something to be said for sure about the lifestyle here. It's quite different from the lower 48 in my experience. What I found is that if you're not of like mind to the locals, and even if you are in some cases, there's not a whole lot of acceptance here from certain loud groups, but the majority of the locals and the natives, I think, are amicable to people from the states being here and living here. But there seems to be like a kind of a rift in the social standing between those people and everyone else. And there's a lot more corruption in the government here than I've seen even in California, which is really saying something. But so for me and my family, it just turned out not to be a really good choice. I mean, I was working a decent job here, like a really good job, frankly. I was being paid well enough, but we kind of maintained our residence stateside because we weren't really sure about living here long term, and that turned out to be the right instinct, largely on account of those aforementioned factors. And there's a bit of big city kind of political rot here that I'm not a big fan of, and I think has led to a lot of deficiencies in services and I guess the same kind of problems that you would expect from a government that, again, like I said, has deeply seated corruption. But it's just the culture here sort of allows that, is the thing that's strange to me. And having crossed a lot of different cultural boundaries and seen the way that people live in different places in the world, it sort of colored my vision for what ignorance looks like and how it manifests in government action. And I feel pretty validated in noticing that here, because there's a lot of just the sorts of things that people shouldn't put up with. I mean, a real quick example is the safety check here. Safety checks for vehicles. I'm not entirely against the idea of having a check on vehicles for functional equipment and safety, and that's a conversation for another day. But the way in which the regulations are actually written for here, if you purchase a vehicle, either you have to have it towed to a safety location and then get a failed safety check due to not being registered in your name to do things legally, or you have to break the law, drive an unregistered vehicle on the road, and take it to a safety check place to get a failed safety check so that you can get it registered in your name, only to turn around again and go get a valid safety check because you have to have one. So you pay the safety check guys twice. And what's the safety check? Well, signals, brake lights, windshield wipers, tires. It doesn't even check to see if the car runs, or the vehicle, I mean. And yeah, it's just one of those things that, like, I'm sure when the law was passed it had some meaning, and there might have been a circumstance that led up to it. In fact, I'm pretty sure there were people kind of cobbling together dangerous vehicles, and my understanding is someone died, and that's kind of how things go. But it basically got co-opted by the political powers as another way for them to have more power over people, and I just philosophically disagree with that on a fundamental level personally. So that's the primary reason I think has created most of the problems that are experienced by people living here, because it pervades a number of different aspects of life. I mean, development in the city and development elsewhere, ownership, all these things are influenced by small groups of people that hold decision-making power over everyone else. And they want their cut when things need to get done, and they slow things down, and then they turn around. And I mean, I'm going way off into left field here, but that's the reason that we're leaving. It's too obvious here that that's what's happening. And it's caused so many problems that make living in this place too expensive, too dangerous. It's just not favorable to us. So it is beautiful, though. You got to give it that. The weather is really tough to beat. The environment itself is quite nice. And if you're respectful of it and you understand that the ecosystem here is a very small one and you take care of it, I mean, realistically, you see more dividends from that kind of behavior here than I think you would elsewhere. It's important, in my opinion, to do that no matter where you are. But economic, environmental responsibility here is a much bigger deal because of the really significant ways in which decisions that are made in that arena can affect this environment. And that's really obvious with sea life and things like that. But I feel it's often, again, another thing that's co-opted by the political powers to gain more control over things than they actually should have. And it just makes life tougher for everybody else. But the Hawaiian culture is very understanding about certain things and very environmental centric. And I'm not going to get too far into how the debates and things go here, because I really wasn't overly committed to figuring all of that out. Because, at some point my wife and I made a decision we were going to leave, and I decided that that was not going to be worth my time. So final thoughts on the Wing. I gotta say, an oversized windscreen, it's kind of won me over. I've seen ones that get really long and come way back. I'm not sure I'd want one, but this one's pretty ridiculous. But being able to sit behind it, not get wet when it rains, and not have to really fight the wind at all, it's been rather nice. I wish I'd had the opportunity to have my wife as a passenger, but life circumstances prevented that. And I wasn't able to take any other passengers on the freeway or anything, but riding with a passenger at low speed, really nimble, really easy to handle, and just a really decent motorcycle. If you end up finding one and you think you want to buy it, don't forget to check out my top 10 things that you'll want to know, and you might want to check out the top 5 things I wish I knew, as well as the 5, hidden features, but features you may not know about, even if you own the bikes, even if you own a bike like this. It's probably worth your time. So if you're interested, I'll leave a little link for you. You can take a look at those 3 videos. And if you have something you think I missed, I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and let me know. I'll put it on the next video, and I'll do my research and get more details so you guys have more information. I'd love to help you keep your bike running and keep these bikes on the road. I think they're a rather fantastically engineered motorcycle, in spite of the complexity and the difficulty for maintenance. But they're getting old enough that dealerships aren't really going to look at maintaining them anymore, and it's going to be on us to make sure that they're roadworthy. And there are some pretty glaring problems that it would be good for the community to tackle. That's already happened largely with especially the ECM for the 01 to 05 bikes. I know I've mentioned that a few times in other videos. I'll link my technical video on that one here as well. I'm actually planning on doing a deeper dive on that when I do another repair, because I would like to give you even more details about the process of depotting the module and things like that. But I actually have a secret plan for fixing that problem. So look out for that video. Make sure you subscribe, because when that one comes out, that could be a big game changer for everybody. Oh boy, those are Hawaii cars for sure. Those big lifted Toyotas. They're everywhere here. Only 7 more minutes of riding this bike, and then I am done. Yeah, buddy. Is that a turn lane? Yeah, it is. Okay. Here we go. Oh, this is another example of what I was talking about, the rail. I mean, man, that's a can of worms if you want to open one. Just look up how much that thing cost. You can look up how much the H3 highway cost. Goodness. People think California is bad. It's my hope that the people here... So, last thought for life in Hawaii, as a parting thought about the folks here, I would love to see the locals, the natives, and their, well, the descendants of the natives have more say over what goes on this island, because it's been my observation that a lot of the sort of detractors here have been a result of the local population being kind of bowled over by, I don't know how to describe it, but other political authorities. And I understand the reason for some of that, in that there's a bit of, I guess, empire-like behavior that has to be allowed for a place like this to be made into a secure part of the Union. And I don't know all the history about exactly why they decided to make it a state, but I would imagine it probably had something to do with that. And it would be nice to see, now that it is that kind of place, the locals get to make more of the decisions about infrastructure development and things like that. Because realistically, I think they understand this place better than anybody else could. Not just because of generational knowledge, but also cultural knowledge. And that's just something that people from elsewhere are not going to fully understand or be able to understand quickly. So, and it makes for a lot of tension. And I think that tension is completely unnecessary. It could be solved very easily. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, it looks like we're in the low-income area. Reminds me a lot of Los Angeles. I'm really glad I got a chance to climb Ka'ala. I think I would have been really upset if I had never done that. Oof. One of the things I'm talking about. All right, we're almost there, so I think now's the time. Well, thanks for coming with me on this final ride of the Hawaii Goldwing. Appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something. And if you got anything at all out of this video, please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you in the next one.